Community Engagement Manager at Omaha Performing Arts, and we are here again for another partnership with No More Empty Pots, as we are going to cook live and give you all an amazing dish. Today, as we elevate Asian American culture, we have Alan Wang, Executive Director of Prairie STEM, and then we have Carol Wang, Executive Director of the Metro Omaha Medical Society. Let you all take it away.
Wonderful. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron. Well, thank you everybody for having us here today, sharing a little bit about what we grew up with, and hopefully, as we start cooking and bringing some stories into this, start being able to get you all to learn a little bit about what we are bringing to the table today. So
We're doing a little bit of prep, or Alan's doing the prep because Alan is the one who knows what he's doing. So he's going to chop up the cabbage that you hopefully got, and he likes it in a finer. And for a spring roll, you do want it in a finer chop if you can do it. Your carrots the same way in a matchstick if you can do the matchstick chop as well. And so our first dish is the spring roll.
Yep. So with the spring roll, the basic ingredients, you can essentially use whatever vegetables you have at hand. But there are some regulars that we want to bring to the table. That has to do with the green cabbage. We have our bean sprouts. We have our carrots. And a lot of this stuff has already been pre-cut just for ease of filming. But as we're getting all these things together, one of the things that we want to keep in mind is there is an art to cooking. And that art has everything to do with not just the taste, but also the textures. And then with the textures, I'm very mindful of how we cut it in terms of the grain. When you're talking about not just the veggies, but also meat, there's specific ways that you want to cut it, and that directly affects how the textures is. And then of course, the first thing that you're engaged with is how it looks. And so you want to make sure that the presentation, the aesthetics of it is as nice as it can possibly be. With these colors here, you can see it's just this beautiful rainbow of colors where once it's all made and people start taking bites and seeing what they're doing, the first thing they do is they take it in with their eyes. So that's kind of the goal here. And with most of these, I think it's okay.
I think you're just going to leave them.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah, we
It's
can
probably
leave these.
too pre-sliced.
All right, so since this stuff is already chopped up, let me go ahead and get some things ready. The goal is to get the different ingredients and the things that we're going to be quickly frying. And the art of cooking Chinese food is high temp with low time. So you want to cook it on as high temp as you can. And what I'll be doing is hopefully trying to get a good stir here without hitting the ceiling or setting off alarms. But the goal is to get this high temperature and to cook it as quickly as we can to seal in those flavors. And then once we take it out, then we're going to be putting everything into the egg roll, the wrapper. And then from the wrapper, it goes into this already pre-boiled oil for us to hopefully get some good rolls out of. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is get some oil. And we're going to go ahead and turn this on.
Now, Alan, do you say you do this a lot? Do you make egg rolls a lot in your house?
I wouldn't say we do this a lot, but I definitely cook a lot at home. And with the egg rolls, one of the things is, this is specifically spring rolls. And because with the lunar year, the Chinese New Year, the New Year actually celebrates the start of spring in the lunar calendar. Even though it's during our Western calendar winter months, that is the start of the lunar calendar spring, which is where spring roll comes from. The Chinese name for spring roll is Cun Juan. So Cun is spring and Juan is roll. So there you go. There's the direct translation for spring roll. In the oil that's now quickly heated, because this is a great gas stove here, we're going to put in our aromatics. So we have some chopped ginger, and that's about a teaspoonful, maybe a little more. And then what I'll do is, one of the things I don't do is I don't measure. So I'll do my best to try
That's a totally traditional, like if you're a good cook, kitchen cook, you don't have to measure. I measure everything, so I apologize, yeah.
And then in goes the garlic. And so once the aromatics go in, what we want to do is watch it, make sure that it, as soon as the color turns golden, we'll start adding in the veggies. And we should probably talk a little bit about protein.
Right. So obviously for people for gluten-free, we didn't add protein in this one, but you should feel free to add tofu if you have tofu, a little bit of minced pork or sliced beef. You can do almost whatever protein you want in here.
Yeah. And so,
But you want it sturdy enough that it will handle being in there mixed with everything else.
yep. And so as I'm cooking the carrots, you know, the goal is to get it so that it is softer than fresh carrots, but not so soft that it loses its crispy texture. With that, we're going to add the bean sprouts.
I love bean sprouts.
Yep, bean sprouts are my favorite. It goes good with everything. Totally healthy. Lots of fiber and water all mixed in.
I have to tell you, in my family, we put noodles in our spring rolls.
You know, yeah, so do we. But we can,
But these are pho noodles, so I don't know that you want to do that.
yep. And then the last thing we're going to put in that is in your kit is the minced cabbage. And so the goal is to get it so that it's nice and well cooked. And the way that I tell is if the cabbage is still holding its shape, then it's not totally cooked yet. And if you don't have a wok and you don't have the benefit of being able to toss it around to get even distribution of the heat, it's okay just to use a regular skillet and then just use either one ladle or two, because the goal is you want to be able to disperse the heat. So you can do this and move it around.
And honestly, this type of dish, don't you think, like a peanut oil, you want to get a high temp oil.
Yep.
Peanut oil is really probably very standard. Canola oil works as well.
Yep.
If you're doing a flat bottom pan.
Yeah, and we also have sesame oil too.
And sesame oil will work too. But some people may not like, that may be a lot of sesame flavor.
And so this is pretty close
You
to
want
being
some salt
cooked.
and pepper?
And then some salt and pepper. Again, this is probably half a teaspoon.
You want some tamari or soy sauce?
And then we have different soy sauce here. We have gluten-free and then less sodium soy sauce. We're going to just use the regular soy sauce. And again, all of this is to try to get the flavor. So, try to keep this all together. I'm going to try to work a little bit more on the...
Your flipping is a little erratic, Alan.
Just a little bit different dynamics than mine at home.
Now, you grew up in a Chinese restaurant, right?
So, yep, aunt and uncle had Chinese restaurants. Summers, worked there. You know, started as a lowly busboy, worked my way up to waiter, and then helped out in the kitchen. So I got to learn all these cool things that, you know, most people don't get that experience.
What do you need, babe?
And then probably a plate to put everything in.
Yep. I realize we might need a fork to start wrapping,
Oh, yeah.
but we may have to use that spoon.
Okay. We can use a spoon. So this is the ingredients for the spring roll. Oh, awesome. Thank you for the fork.
So while you did that, I opened up the spring roll package that hopefully you guys have.
We're going to just dab a little bit to the center.
Oh, you're doing the center?
Or you like to just start from the end?
I started at the end.
Okay. So you're going to see two different styles. You go this way or this way? Horizontal or vertical?
I'm going to go this way. Yeah.
So we're going to lay it out in a way so that hopefully by the end it resembles something that you're familiar with. So mine's in the center. Okay, well go ahead, Carol.
Well, and I just basically I cheat a lot in the sense water is the great connector to this once you need to fold over. And so basically I turn it into side fold, and then I wrap.
Very nice. Yeah.
Mine's a little not perfect.
Nope. So we're gonna do the same thing here, and then we'll get a few of these going, and then we'll throw it into the fryer. We should put these on a plate just to. And what I do is I usually start it off, and then tuck the ends in, and then fold the corners, and once it gets here, then when I go to set it down, I set it down on that bottom to kind of seal it. Get another one.
I will tell you that my parents, my mother, because my mother is the great Chinese food maker, and she'll go to the grocery store and she'll buy the lumpia ones, which are more crepe-like. And I will also tell you, once you kind of master the insides or get the insides the way you want it, you can also turn this into like the rice wrapper for Vietnamese spring rolls. So it's very versatile, and it's kind of very multi-Asian culture. Spring rolls are kind of existent in so many dishes.
Do you know the difference between Vietnamese spring rolls and Chinese spring rolls?
Isn't it the rice wrapper and the shrimp?
Wait, actually, that sounded like a joke. It wasn't a joke.
Oh.
No,
What is it?
It has to do with where it was derived from. Vietnamese spring rolls were actually known as Saigon rolls because it was street food from Saigon.
Oh.
But initially it started in China. It basically expanded to all the different Asian countries. We could probably do one more.
Yeah.
And then as you're doing that, I will get this ready. And one thing to keep in mind when you're sealing things like in a dumpling or in this case a spring roll, one thing we didn't do is, and that was on me, because these are all vegetables are primarily made up of water inside. You want to dehydrate it by soaking it in salt. And by brining the vegetables, you then get a lot of the content of the water out, and then you want to then squeeze it and then put it out. And that's something I should have done earlier. So for those that have the luxury of doing this separately, what you'll want to do is once you have everything chopped, for the lettuce or the cabbage itself, because it has the highest water content, you want to put some salt on it, you want to set it aside, and when you set it aside, you want to set it aside anywhere from like half an hour to an hour, and then all the water from the inside will come out. Then you squeeze it, you rinse it under water to get the salt off, and then you put it inside your rolls, and then you won't have a lot of the fluids on the inside.
And sometimes I'll just put it in the colander, chopped, and then sprinkle the salt, and then the water will drain out of the colander, so it makes it a little easier, because I'm all about cheating.
That's efficiency. I wouldn't say
Well,
it's cheating.
you know, Mom does it the old-fashioned way, and I do it the how can I cut 5 steps.
Yeah. Well,
Way.
what would your mom say if she saw you doing this now?
My mother would say, ayo, because she would be kind of horrified that
Yep.
I am trying to tell anyone about Chinese cooking, because she thinks that, you know, I'm one of those, I didn't grow up in a restaurant, and my mother is such a great cook, and she just does it by feel and taste and instinct, that she never passed along a lot of how to do it. And so when I first got my first place, she sent me a Chinese cookbook because she realized she hadn't taught me how to do much cooking.
Well,
So
yeah. I mean, for us, my mom would say the same thing. First, she'd start off with the whole, "Aya, what are you doing?" And then the second would be, you know, this is how you need to actually do it. And the reason why I ended up doing a lot of my own cooking was because if I wanted to eat well, the way that I did growing up, I had to basically watch and learn before I left the house. And it was nice having the restaurant where you could see all the different techniques and things that they did. So now that this is all minced, what we'll do is, you know, one of the things that we have to do is I need to clear out this, rinse this out.
So do you want to do it in the wok? Start putting
Yeah.
oil hot?
Yeah.
And then I'll... I'm a fixer. This is what I do.
This is great. I mean, this will end up.
Tell me you haven't ever done this with a dumpling where it's fallen apart and you're like, oh, I have to salvage this.
Careful. It's all good. We're going to go ahead and get going with the Buddha Delight.
Yes.
And the Buddha bowl is also a traditional kind of a dish that families can do. And it's kind of a very catch-all phrase for a dish that has 5 main ingredients, or 4, depending on if you are a family that doesn't eat meat. But you have your vegetables, your proteins, your seasonings, your aromatics, and then your toppings. And so if you have those 5 different groups, there's nothing specific. It doesn't have to be, pork, tomatoes, lettuce, or anything else. But if you have 5 of those different ingredients on top, you basically mix it together and it becomes your dish.
And so your base can always be rice or noodles. So it can either be in either and or, so it's very flexible in that way to whatever you have around.
So I'm going to take a step away and rinse it.
In the meantime, we probably should put the pho noodles in because the pot is hot. And so these really just need to soak. Your rice stick noodles need to really only soak for 5 to 10 seconds, so not very long. It's a pretty fast. But what you want them to do is you want them to soften up so that you can use them later. And they normally come clumpy like that. And so I'm going to steal this. I need and I don't know about you, I love a good pasta. I love noodles, so.
Okay, I'm back, Carol, in case you thought I left you.
Yes, I'm just cooking the pho noodles now.
And those are very, very quick.
Yes, so they should be done pretty much now, so you could probably turn them off.
So we want to get those out. Do we have a strainer?
No, but we have this. And so I'm going to, I'll just,
okay,
you do that.
So as Carol's getting the base of the Buddha bowl out, I'm going to go ahead and get all these different vegetables ready to put and do a flash boil in the water. We're basically going to blanch all of these just to the point where they're cooked through, but it doesn't take long at all.
Now, because we're doing this kind of in a New Year fashion, part of the reason, if you look and see, these noodles are very long. The Chinese are very symbolic, superstitious, and so long noodles, long life. And so you don't want to break noodles when you're doing a New Year's Eve noodle event. Although, I have been known to cut them. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell my mother. Sometimes for ease.
Okay, so since we're kind of doing this asynchronous, what I would ask is, can you rinse that under cold water?
Yes.
And the reason we rinse it under cold water is because otherwise it all sticks together.
And the gluten.
And the gluten will make it one big lumpy thing. So while she's doing that, I'm getting the bok choy blanched in the hot water. And the thing about cooking Chinese food, and probably a lot of foods in general, is all about preparation. When 90% of the preparation is already done, it should go pretty quick and easy. But the hardest part has already been taken care of for us, where everything has already been cut and set aside. So this is all washed. This is the baby bok choy, and then along with that, we're going to have the bean sprouts and the carrots follow suit. And this will be very similar to what we did inside the egg roll, but this will be on the spring roll. This will be on the outside, sitting on top of the Buddha bowl.
Are you wanting to stir fry these noodles, or are you going to put them on the bottom of the bowl?
No, we'll just keep it on the bottom of the bowl. Do you want to stir fry?
No, I don't care.
That's the beauty of cooking at home in my kitchen,
Right.
in our house.
Whatever you want to do. And so I'm just going to put some in each bowl then so that you have presentation.
Yep. And that blanched baby bok choy should be almost done. So as that's cooking, I'll get all of this ready. And one thing to note, the reason why there's so much time and effort put into the prep, when you go to Asian restaurants, specifically Chinese restaurants, you're never given a knife. And the reason you're never given a knife is all of the food is cut up into bite size already. And so there's no need to do it. All the work is done on the front end, which is why there's so much effort put into chopping the meat, chopping all the vegetables and those things. So I'm gonna grab one of these bowls just for the baby bok choy. And this is just to set it aside. So baby bok choy is gonna be right there. All this stuff is here. We have our potatoes. The potatoes can go straight in, but we don't need the water. So those are just potatoes that have been sitting in the water, aromatics, ginger, garlic, and there's bamboo shoots. Bamboo shoots add a great texture, a little crispiness. Onions will be used at the end for color and seasoning, and then the beans. Okay, so next, we're going to go ahead and get our wok going, get the oil going, and you'll see basically a repeat of what we did with the spring
Right,
rolls.
it's like deja vu all over again. I mean, but the wok is such that essential, Chinese food. I mean, everything gets done multi-time. You can steam in a wok.
Yep. So at home I have a bamboo steamer, set it inside the wok with some water, cover the whole thing up, and then the wok that you use for all the cooking ends up being its own little steamer. So same as we did before, I wish you all could smell it, or actually, if you're doing it at the same time, it probably smells pretty good in your kitchen as well. Okay,
What do you need?
so I'm going to start. So these are the snow peas. And I just realized with the snow peas, we probably should have deveined it. That's right.
Do you want something?
No, so I'm going to set everything on the side so we can plate it all up. Yeah, one dish. And with the snow peas, again, all of this stuff, because it's, excuse me, all vegetables, it's all very quick.
And if you do the fast, you preserve that color of the food, which I will admit that I sometimes like to cheat and I just want to put it all in one dish. But you have to do different times because they'll finish cooking at different times.
You know, when the snow peas cool down, this is something I should have done beforehand. It's going to be a little bit hot. I don't know if you get it. Yeah, this is going to be hot, so just be careful. What you do is on the top of the snow pea, you have to devein it like a shrimp, and then by pulling it off, it's something that should have been done before, but I didn't realize it till after. It's hot. But when it cools down, it's a lot easier.
Well, and I would also say if you have your snow peas and you have a chance, I'd also even cut them on the side a couple times so that they're more bite-sized. That's just my preference.
Yeah, and unlike cooking a single dish with all these different vegetables, we are cooking these individually, and it's all about the presentation and the aesthetics at the end. And yes, I'm using the same oil, the same aromatics, because the flavor is still going to be good. And then the bean sprouts. That's hot. Be careful when you guys are using the stuff.
Do you have a container you need help? Did you break something?
Yeah, I melted the handle. I left it there by the stove. Well, this is the...
They're never going to invite us back into the kitchen.
No, they pretty much won't. But it'll be good.
What do you need, babe?
Bowl. Another bowl. Now I feel like I'm at home. So those are the potatoes. Watch your hands. As she's scooping the potatoes out, we're getting all the flavor into the bean sprouts. And this is almost to the end. And the last part is the bamboo shoots. Just out of oil.
Do you need the water on anymore?
No, we can shut it off.
Okay.
Okay, so this is going to pop a bit. Little.
Ooh, mushrooms.
Oh, and the mushrooms, that's right.
They haven't been cut. What do you need? Another bowl?
Yeah, we're out of bowls.
There's one down there.
Oh, last one. Okay, so we're basically trying to build this with all the different ingredients. The good news is we haven't burned down the kitchen.
Although my mother is cringing, I can just tell.
You know what my mom's saying?
What?
She's saying, Jayo, which means, let's go. Keep going. All right, so that's great, Carol.
What do you want?
Yep, so this is
I'm
the
just
last
rough
piece.
cutting the
Yep.
mushrooms, your shiitake mushrooms. Do you want more?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What are you gonna do? Are you cooking them now?
Yep.
Okay. And in some recipes, people take off the stems. I don't. In shiitakes, I just leave the stems on. And if they were dried, then I would soak them in some hot water to get them to rehydrate first. And then squeeze the juice. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so with these type of mushrooms, the shiitake mushrooms, you can get them like this, which are fresh, or you can get them dried. And like Carol was saying, if they're dry, you just have to rehydrate it for an hour or so. All right, so like I said, it's all about the prep. This is the last piece. And then after this, we will put
What do you want to do
everything
with the sauces?
on the plates.
use that because that just has soy sauce on it.
Okay, this is the soy sauce. The last piece here. Is there any sugar over there by any chance?
Nope. Not that I see.
That's okay. So the little soy sauce, little pepper.
Do you need some rice vinegar?
Yeah, a little bit of rice vinegar at the end because the alcohol. And that's just a little splash, maybe about a teaspoon. Okay, so this is done. What I'll do is instead of using a plate, I'll just put this on.
But that looks good.
And then again, depending on what people have in their homes, you know, the goal here is just to get good variety of the different groups.
He's also a food designer, if
We wanna
anyone
make it
needs
look
help.
nice. And then the hearts of the baby bok choy is always the best part that we used to fight over as kids.
Do your kids like Chinese food, or are they of the age they'd rather have other food because they grew up with this?
So they are they're pretty good variety. If you ask them what their favorite food is, they'll probably say dumplings.
Oh yeah. I love dumplings.
And again, this is all just to make it presentable so that if you have people coming over, you can't have 4. And then where are those tongs again?
There.
Oh, I didn't realize there were 3 bowls.
No, I just did that. That's the leftover noodles. I
Ah.
cooked the whole package. And then I realized we didn't have enough bowls.
And then you put the pop of color in the middle, pop of flavors. And then if, you know, some people, you know, I'm one of them, what I'll do at home is I will take an egg
Oh yes.
and do a very light, over easy, so that the egg
yolk.
yolk is, you know, once you put it on top, the egg yolk just drips right over it. And you put this on top.
I'm a sauce person, so I always want a little hot sauce and
Yeah.
a little soy sauce mix,
Yep,
kind
with
of almost
sesame
like a
oil, yeah.
vinaigrette
Yep.
to make it. But basically, you know, salt and pepper this and flavor to your taste, and you are ready for dinner. I
Yep.
mean,
So
and this
these
didn't take very long.
No, not long at all.
Oh, potatoes.
And the potatoes, I didn't see the potatoes.
I was gonna put them at the top right
This is almost like flower arrangements.
through. It's very meditative to cook. Although this feels fast and furious.
This was a little fast and furious.
I think. Oh, you did arrange.
All right, so here is the final product with the Buddha bowls, again, it doesn't matter what you put in there as long as you have a good variety of different toppings. And then with the spring rolls, it's all about the final product.
Family dinner.
Yeah, this is family dinner.
But enjoy, I mean, and have fun with it, because it's not always about how beauty, it's also about taste. And it's also about having fun in the kitchen.
You did a good job of cleaning that up. That's very nice.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Alan, so much for cooking with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We're excited. I'm excited to try. It looks really good and flavorful. Definitely want to thank you all for cooking at home. Please send us pictures online on Facebook and let us know how you did so we can see what your dishes look like. Also, as we get into 2024, going into the Chinese New Year, we will be bringing 90 Chen dance all the way from New York. We will be having 2 dance workshops, one that focuses on ribbon dancing and another one just talking about the 10 elements of dance. And they also will be having a performance at the Orpheum. So please look out for that and just continue celebrating with us. And thank you as we continue to elevate Asian American voices through Voices Amplified. Have a good evening. Take care.
Thanks.